Good morning, myself Mukesh from Samara University, Russia. This is my small biography. The title of my presentation is High Resolution 2019 Landform Map of Southeast Asia. This is the summary of my presentation. I will be explaining introduction, importance and purpose, study area, task, data and data comparison, methods, land code classifications, results with accuracy assessment, discussions with limitations, and in last conclusions. Actually, last 2 decades there are a lot of changes in Southeast Asia land cover due to development, industrializations, increasing population, socio-economic activities, ultimately increase the demand of food. These changes directly pressurize the natural resources in terms of deforestation, encroachment, increased cultivation and production, ultimately rise misuse of land, which increase the vulnerability and it's the main cause of climate change in the study area. Earlier studies developed global land cover maps, but they are low to moderate resolution. They have valuable information, but still missing lot of information due to low resolution. It is not an easy task to develop a high resolution landform map based on remote sensing satellite data, as it covers large size of the area with humid tropical climate, especially always cloud weather condition. So clouds is there, that's why we cannot collect information regularly. The size and volume of the data are very high, so handling of the large size of data is a big problem. The main purpose of my study is to develop high resolution landform map and their trajectories since 2010 and to know the main cause of changes in the natural resources in Southeast Asia. As I take study area Southeast Asia, which cover 8 countries as Myanmar, Laos, Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, and North Malaysia. The main task is to identify 8 land cover classes such as barren land, cultivated, developed. Here, developed means built up area of settlements, forest, grassland, shrubland, water, and wetland. Also, identify the main changes and their effect in the study area. And last, very important, with very high accurate informative information. If I compare with data like conventional data and remote sensing data, land cover mapping and monitoring from satellite data are much better than conventional data in terms of resolution, frequency, economically, and less efforts. After launching Landsat 7, 8, and Sentinel-2, there is more possibility of high resolution land cover maps. As I told you, we have two types of data, conventional data and remote sensing data. Conventional data are more accurate and site-specific, but data collection is time-consuming, expensive, require more manpower, and it may not be possible to extrapolate to a large area. But remote sensing data, on the other hand, have that advantage due to repetitivity and synoptic coverage of large inaccessible area quickly and economically. So in the present study, to take the dual advantage, both conventional and remote sensing data were used. In remote sensing data, which is also called primary data, I use Landsat 8 data for the year 2010 and 19, and especially for July and August month. In secondary data, I use topographic sheets, Google Earth, socioeconomic and ground truth data. So this is the characteristics of light data. It's 30 meter spatial resolution with 9 spectral band with 1 panchromatic band with 15 meter resolution. It's at 705 km altitude with 16 days repeativity and 12 bit data means 4096 gray levels, which make it better than earlier data. We cannot collect that information from satellite data directly, so first we need to go pre-processing, that is called DIP. So as I download 150 Landsat all images from USGS website, it's free of cost and then go through pre-processing. I georeferenced all data in WGS 19 UTM projection, then remove all radiometric and geometric errors, then make band enhancement and band combination and image enhancement techniques. I combined all images through mosaic techniques and then process classification. So by this way, through pre-processing and digital lens techniques, we convert pixel-based raster information into polygon-based vector layer and save in GS format. As you see, it's a large area, so to take the identification of classes, first I use unsupervised classification to get an idea of all possible classes based on reflectance value. Then use supervised classification algorithm based on sample size and get these 8 classes. I think you all are aware about these classes. Actually, this classification was done by an experienced researcher as well as the visual interpreter. Inspection was set up during the classification approach for high accuracy, and this is the resulted land use land cover map for the year 2019 and 2010, and you can see all 8 classes. So I convert pixel information into polygon information for further statistical analysis to identify changes as well as individual class growth in this decade. You can see that cultivation developed and wetland was increased but remaining like barren land, forest, grassland and shrubland, and water classes was reduced. So I can say that forest area was reduced a little bit due to encroachment, especially for cultivation and development. Maximum changes is cultivated area as it's increased almost 10%. This indicates too much pressure on natural resources over production due to the rising demand of food for an increased population. Wetland area was increased but water body area reduced, which showed the consumption of water was increased for cultivation, industry and daily use. Shrubland was also almost stable, but grassland and barren land were slightly reduced because both areas close to the cultivation area and developed class, so slightly shift or encroached by both classes. The more changes in reduction were in grassland and water class as both classes were utilized, encroached or consumed highly due to regional requirement of development and rapid growth of population. Barren land, forest, grassland, shrubland were key classes that get the first effect of development as these classes were the most suitable land for development sites. Ultimately, cultivation developed and wetland classes were increased to compete the demand of food and living space for increased population and its modernization. This is in table format the results. I also did accuracy assessment. So go to times in field, especially in summer 2016 and 2019. Also take help from ancillary data and maps. Google Earth images were inaccessible areas like top of the hills. I take 500 random sample plots and especially try to cover 60% sample plots for each landfill class. The overall accuracy of this work was 85%. Here this is the accuracy table. In this table you can see that producer accuracy and user accuracy for cultivated and forest area both are more than 0.90, which is so that it's highly accurately classified. Also water class is more than 90. Actually, visual interpretation water class was identified very easily. Here is also some pixels are misclassified, such as rice crop to misclassified between wetland and cultivation due to moisture contents. Cloud area, actually images are not fully cloudless, so some clouds are in images. These are the misclassified in developed area due to white tone. So in discussion, these land cover maps show unique and qualitative information about land cover for a large at a high resolution and scale. This represents that satellite imagery at high resolution can use for a large area mapping and monitoring and produce meaningful information from local to national and international level. Both maps provide changes useful for climate change, vulnerability, vegetation, and land use study, but also have some limitations like even for planning, management, or decision making, we can use these maps, but they are not useful for exact boundary making of a class. These maps express changes in terms of net growth and loss of a first level land for classes, but not subclass levels such as types of forest and vegetation. Both maps show 9 to 10 years difference, but not seasonal or monthly changes, so have some temporal as well as scale limitations. Also, I can say that Southeast Asia rapid growth rate of population is the main cause of all changes. It's for 3% area of the total Earth area with more than 655 million population, means 8.5% world population in this area. Geographically, this is the third highest population area after South and East Asia. This increased the market demand of food and pressurized natural resources, cultivation, food production, unmanaged development and industrializations. That's why too much exploitation of natural resources are going on. For example, excessive use of pesticides and chemical fertilizers in cultivation, overgrazing, forest fire, or shifting high rate of mineral exploration and water consumption. Currently, this area has 100% production in comparison of earlier years. The main thing is that there is no reduction in production, but the direction is changed. Actually, earlier production was from the natural resources like forest or agriculture, but now maximum production from industry or artificial resources. It means uh, that things which mostly come from natural resources, they come from industry. That's create a big problem. At present, it's not a valuable situation, but if it will going on with this speed, then in future it will be the main cause of climate change and highly valuable situation. Finally, in conclusions, this research work presents a new high-resolution landmark map for the year 2010 and 19 of the Southeast Asia with change dictates. Rapid growth of population, high rate of development, and increased market demand of food were the crucial issue of the changes. These changes directly affect on climate change in Southeast Asia. These maps provide a new and latest high qualitative quantitative land cover information, which is a very high demand in region for sustainable development and to avoid misuse of land. Satellite remote sensing is the best tool to identify land cover and land trajectory information on high accuracy with low cost efforts in less time and manpower for a large and inaccessible area. These maps are very useful for researchers as well as regional to international level policy and decision makers who need the latest and detailed land cover information on Southeast Asia. Thanks for your patience and you are most welcome for questions.